Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. I'm Stephanie Fisher. I'm a licensed counselor here in the state of Michigan, and I am owner and operator of In Progress Counseling. Today we're going to invite in that idea of an iterative process where we make meaning over time by holding our ideas but then running them through someone else as well. Therapy is an iterative process. If someone comes in and they are closed off, they have no desire to talk about what they're experiencing, they have no desire to be influenced or changed in any way, imagine how productive that space would be. It would be like a perpetual power struggle when one person is just trying to force things to go a particular way. And there really wouldn't be an outcome where there was growth and nourishment and change and flourishing and healing, because it would be kind of like a closed system. An iterative process means that we are putting ideas kind of between me and someone else, and we're making sense out of them together. And the more we talk about it, the more we're creating a coherent narrative where there's a lot of richness and complexity and meaning and understanding, and it develops over time. That's one of the pieces that can be so difficult for a lot of us humans, is it really does take time to improve our understanding of whatever it is that we're trying to look at. It just takes a while. And I've shared with clients before, I know from when I'm really, really unsettled, I know my process from a kind of get restabilized standpoint, it can take anywhere between 7, 8, 9, 10 days. When there is a big life disruption, it's very common for, 4, 5, 6 weeks of unsettled until things kind of come back to homeostasis, which the research would tell us we orient ourselves very quickly towards homeostasis. And if we're going about it with any type of patients, it just takes a little while to kind of recalibrate and reestablish some sort of norm. Completely appropriate. But when we are trying to develop understanding, it really does take time. I go into this process of dissertation writing right now, and January, February, March, April, May, I put together the first version. And then there was a hiccup in the system where one of the measures I wanted to use, I couldn't get permissions to use it. And so I'm anxietizing, I'm frustrated, I'm stressed about it. And then a stroke of clarity comes, a few days into that anxious cycle of, well, hey, what if you pivot in this direction? So now the entire project needs to be rewritten. And so June and July, I have had to rewrite the entire project towards, hopefully, a more streamlined project. But it's taken a ton of time to recraft work that I could, with righteous indignation say, I already did that. Why do I have to do it again? Well, because learning and growth is an iterative process. So now that I've updated it to my current structure of my study, now I send it along to my 3 committee members, and they are going to rip it apart, tell me all the gaps, tell me all the ways I'm not yet understanding, tell me all the mistakes that I've made, because they're invested in the project becoming more coherent, more refined, more articulate, and closer to, we would hope, truth over time. And so now we're going to go through this iterative process of I update, I send it, they give me feedback. I send it, they give me feedback. I send it, they give me feedback. And I'm continually having to update it, which is very parallel to the therapeutic process, where a client comes in with an observation and we put some guardrails around it and we put some story to it, and then we think about it over the next week or two. And then they come back in and they expand out their thoughts and they add complexity and add depth, or they come in with resistance and frustration, and so we hold that too. Imagine, though, being a closed system where you're not allowed to wrestle things out, where you're supposed to already know things, or you're not supposed to be caught unawares, or you're not allowed to be a beginner. It is really quite problematic. And so some of the developmental skills with clients, with my students, with myself, it's that really commitment towards being a learner. If I'm committed to being a learner, then when someone gives me input and data and feedback, I get to update what I'm doing after I've decided to what degree do I agree with this. It doesn't mean that I'm wrong, someone else is right. It means that in this iterative process, we're moving me closer to coherence. In an iterative process with clients, we're moving them closer to a coherent narrative. It's rich and it's robust and it's relational. It's important work. If we come into anything we're doing and we're a closed system where we already know the things, we have nothing to learn, friends, that's not an iterative process. That's a little bit of a tyrannical kingdom of one. And I don't know how much that orients us towards good, better, and truth.